What's so appealing about Leon that even first-time players can enjoy? He's hot. Greetings, warriors. Griffin, how you guys doing? And welcome back to the Haven. Now, welcome back to some more Resident Evil 9 video news-ish. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I wasn't going, I said last video that this was actually going to be my last time talking about Resident Evil stuff and everything, but I actually came across this by accident, actually. Just want to let you know, before we do this interview that was conducted with the director and the producer, it's all in Japanese, this whole article, all that good stuff like that. So what you're seeing here is a English translation by Google. So it is a very rough translation, but just know on the little bit that I read, it gets the point across. First question they ask is, Leon appears in the new trailer. Are there any characters you can reveal anything about? Naganishi, or the director. First of all, I want to make it clear that the only playable characters in this game are Leon and Grace. As for the other characters, please enjoy them as you play the game. So that can only mean that we make it, I'm not gonna say only mean, but I'm being completely honest with you. At least when it comes to these, the other character that I am for sure, like very confident on is Sherry. Okay, I'm gonna just be completely honest with you. Now, the little bit we saw in the trailer and everything, then the stuff that I pointed out and other people also pointed out too, I honestly think Sherry also is the other one. Maybe not playable, but in appearance is just fine. Also, going back to that, some of the fan base are going backwards and forwards. They're saying that Sherry, some saying that it's Hunnigan, like I said at first, and also we covered, someone said Ashley Graham, and then I also saw Rebecca. I don't know, guys. Do y'all feel like some people are just throwing names out there? I mean, heck, maybe I'm guilty of it too when I said Hunnigan, but I legit thought it was Hunnigan. All right, I'm gonna just do what I do best most of the time: connect my bottom lip to my top lip and just shut the fuck up. There was a scene where Leon slashed an enemy with a chainsaw. Dr. Leon, right? But are there any other distinctive weapons or actions like that? Naganishi, Grace's style is from Resident Evil 2, where Leon is based in Resident Evil 4, which means he has martial arts and melee attacks. This is the first time we featured Leon in a new game since RE6. There's a reason why I'm getting like hyped up like that. I'm pretty sure Editor Griff like put something right here next to me right here, just to tell you guys why I'm like, One of the main things for this game was, what will Leon be like in 2026 now that he's aged and has fought countless battles? Leon continues to fight with a desire to save others, but sometimes things don't go well. Bioterrorism never goes away after all. What state of mind will Leon reach after all these experiences, and what kind of person will he become? So summarizing this, Grace's section is going to be more like Resident Evil 2, and of course Leon is going to be around Resident Evil 4, as we can see in the trailer and everything with his kicks and melees and everything. The only thing I'm not gonna lie, it'd be kind of cool seeing Leon doing a suplex nowadays at his age. But going on this, right? The reason why I was like, a little bit, because we have plenty of new subscribers here. TLDR, okay? I made a video on stating that Chris is the most overused character in Resident Evil. Now, granted, I could have done a lot better job at explaining it, but the point still stands. The point I was trying to make in that video was that Chris has been seen more than Leon in the games. People were trying to fight me on it, saying the entire universe, Leon is shown the most. Yes. To be completely honest with you, I wasn't counting the remakes, and I also wasn't counting the CGI movies. I was only counting the games. And it's true, Leon has only been in 4 major games. And then some people respectfully try to move the goalpost and say, okay, well, count the remakes, count the spin-offs, all that stuff like that. Then of course, Leon is gonna be shown the most when you count the CGI movies and everything considering, but at the same time, I'm only counting the games, and because it's going towards the timeline. Yes, Leon is a overused character, which I have said before, but let's be honest, guys, Chris is way more overused than Leon, but Leon is more, I guess you could say, loved within the community, I guess you could say, even though we have other fans of other characters and everything, but realistically, we all know that Leon is the golden boy, as majority of the Resident Evil community calls him, which, okay, yes, rightfully so. So the reason why I was like, is because, like, legitimately, we haven't seen Leon since Resident Evil 6. I was like, but like I said, I digress. I'm going off a tangent here, but that's why I was like, because I made that a point in my video, and a lot of people were still trying to fight me on it, counting the remakes, etc., and I said, you know what? The video's gonna stay up, but I'm gonna just end it right there. But it's funny seeing this, because now I'm seeing a lot of comments saying now Chris is overused when I have literally made a video on it and I got a lot of ish on it. You said you can enjoy fear in Grace's part and exhilarating action in Leon's part, but will they both act at the same time like Ashley in Resident Evil 4? Okay, so basically it's like Grace gonna be with Leon just like how Ashley was in Resident Evil 4. Okay, got it. This film has one story with the Leon and Grace parts changing as the story progresses, and there are scenes where the two meet and interact. Grace is the most fearful person in the history of Biohazard, and Leon is the strongest. I think one of the highlights will be seeing how these two contrasting characters interact. I didn't think of that. That's actually pretty cool. Because don't get me wrong, when it comes to most fearful, I think if I had to say, it it would have to be between, okay, now I'm also going to characters that we played as, not like side characters, you know, like Ashley, for example. But when it comes to like fearful characters, I would have to put that category with Rebecca and also Sherry. But let's be honest, Sherry, you know, kicked some ass in RE6, right? And then with Rebecca, she retired and as is, all in the medical field and everything as she's doing in her current life and everything like that. So she can still do what she has to do, but definitely not on the same level as like Leon, Chris, Claire, Jill, so on and so forth. But I know she does, but she can handle her own. But when it comes to fearful, I would definitely put those two in that category. It would probably be a toss up between those two, but probably Rebecca maybe a little bit more fearful, I think, maybe, I guess. But I'm not gonna count Sherry, even her as a kid. But realistically, as a protagonist, we really haven't played with someone that was like really like scared. So let's be honest here, the brand new person that I can think of, when it comes to the RE universe was Ethan. Motherfucker strolled through freaking RE7. You know what I'm saying? And he showed definitely no fear in RE Village. Like, dude, Ethan is not human, bro. Okay, so let's press on. So yeah, most definitely I agree, having the most fearful. And like, I think it's more of a agree and disagree about Leon being the strongest. And of course you got Chris, punching boulders in the issue, right? But realistically, it's definitely gonna be a toss up between those two as the strongest. First of all, in the general sense, Elpis is what was left at the bottom of Pandora's box and is often interpreted as hope. However, some interpret it as a symbol of something even worse or as a great misfortune. There is an important element in the story and is also related to the question of why Grace's mother was killed. And although I can't go into detail at this stage, Leon in this game has a secret and Elpis plays an important role in the story. So that's like one of the big things that I've been actually hearing about, is that apparently that Leon actually has a secret on what all this is going on. From a lot of the theories that have been going on now is that they think Leon is infected with something, and that's one of the secrets and everything. And it has to do with Elpis. So I've been seeing and hearing that going around, but of course we don't know about all that. I'm not surprised that Leon has a secret, and because I mean, there's got to be a reason why he's going. From one of the trailer, he ends up meeting Grace at the area where Dr. Gideon is, and then there must be a reason why he's going back to Raccoon City and everything as well. So like I said, I feel like this story is gonna kick ass because there's just so much stuff going on, man. Does this game have dual protagonists, Grace and Leon? When Leon appeared in the trailer, it felt a strong sense of security, and I wondered if Grace would be overshadowed by Leon's presence. Yes, with two main characters, the gameplay is split roughly half and half. The two characters interact in Resident Evil Requiem. People who play the game because they like Grace will be able to fully enjoy Grace's story, and of course, there are many Leon fans, so they will be able to enjoy Leon's story. Oh, okay, I just read like a little bit of part of it. He said, I caused a bit of a buzz in the past when I said Leon isn't really suited to horror. Scenes like the one shown at TGS. Isn't that Tokyo Game Show? Yeah, Tokyo Game Show. And it said the other day. I don't know if this is an old, well, definitely not an older, it's a Tokyo Game Show. I'm pretty, like I said, it's a rough translation. Maybe this means the Game Awards. It's literally one letter off. Seems like the one shown at the Game Awards the other day where you're terrified of monsters are more suited to Grace. So we wanted to present a clear difference in the experience, which is a feature of this game. It was a challenge for us to combine two games with completely different levels of tension. We've crafted it to bring out the best in the contrasting characters. Leon and Grace's gameplay experience unlike anything in the Resident Evil series before. So I hope you give it a try. You can think of it as similar in the structure of the first Resident Evil Revelations. Okay, which if I remember correctly, this is also the director of Resident Evil Revelations. It makes sense because in that game, we actually play different characters. At one point you play as Jill. Later in the game, you play as Chris. And then also you play as Jill's partner, a character that I don't give a F about. I can't remember his name and I don't care about his name. Harper, I think his name is. That's how much I don't care. The game was cool, but I'm all right on it. The director for Revelations is doing this with Requiem. Now it makes perfect sense. I didn't even think about that. Did you guys think about that? Because I sure as heck didn't, but now it makes perfect sense now that I'm looking at this. I don't know if it goes deeper in this interview as we go down the line or anything, but I know some fans were saying that they're disappointed that they don't have a A and B scenario. Some fans were kind of like, it's kind of like it's like a toss up or anything. Nothing. From what I understand, the fan base is not really overly upset about it, but they're like, we can do A and B scenario. From what I understand, that's like the best way they can put it, because only one game, if I remember correctly, RE2 only had an A and B scenario, right? And you see, for that game, it totally made sense. They're both in Raccoon City and everything. We get both different perspectives on both their stories. And I get what people are saying, because it's like, well, hey, what if we don't like playing as Grace and we like playing as Leon, and vice versa? We can just choose that character to stick with him through the whole game. So I kind of get it. In this particular game, I can kind of understand why they would want to do a switch off instead of a and B scenario, because who knows if like we're in a whole different area with Leon and Grace, it kind of wouldn't make sense. In Raccoon City with Leon and Claire, it worked perfectly because they were in the same area experiencing different things, whereas Leon and Grace, they could be in a whole different spectrum. Like, who's to know when he goes back to Raccoon City, is Grace even with him? Like, we don't know how this story is going to unfold. So I kind of understand why they didn't go the whole A and B scenario route. So I'm totally cool with it. I'm totally cool with it. But at the same time, I also understand some of the fan sentiments on like, hey, you know, it'd be cool if we can have some type of gameplay like A and B scenario or anything where we can just choose that character and stick with them through the whole game, you know? So I kind of understand from the director's perspective, like, okay, hey, you know, two different protagonists, two different combat styles, you get the best of both worlds depending on the case. But the thing is, you are forced to play that, and I think that's where the disconnect comes in. But many fans are not really complaining it like super heavily, but I have seen a couple of comments like that circling around the internet. What's so appealing about Leon that even first-time players can enjoy? He's hot. There's a reason why I say that, all right? No pause either, but that is good. He's a good-looking dude. But the reason why I do say that is because at work I was watching a lot of reaction videos and everything of Leon's reveal. I was watching a lot of it, and also because I was actually featured in I think 3 or 4 reaction mashups or anything. It warmed my heart to be a part of those. In short, a lot of ladies, and I think some guys too, they was like, he's hot. Well, there you go. Simply put, he's a good-looking guy. Well, shit, there you go. Answer your question. Not just in appearance, but in personality too. I agree. He's willing to take risks to help someone. There's a huge gap between that and how he would say something like that. Kumazawa, which is the producer. I like how they have it color coordinated and it's different. That's a very nice organization there. It's important to note that you don't need to know everything about Leon's past. As is stated on the official website, the only thing you need to know is that he was involved in the Raccoon City incident. With that in mind, it's fun to see how he gets involved in this incident as he gets older, especially considering that he's going back. He's willing to make sacrifices to help someone, and he's not arrogant about it. He's a lighthearted guy who jokes around and has a cool demeanor, but has got a lot of passion inside. He's also strong in martial arts techniques and has no weaknesses. If he were in real life, I don't think we could be friends. It is cool, but he says he who jokes around and has a cool demeanor. And I like that, like he said in the trailer, I think I want a second opinion. I think that's the line that he says when he sees the chainsaw zombie. I like that because he still cracks his jokes, and that is fantastic. And like, just like people that are into mental health and everything, so am I. And I understand people will do things to calm themselves or anything if they're in a desperate situation, or if they're trying to cope with some mental illness or anything of that nature or anything. This boy Leon has been through a lot. All right, he still has a lot of hair. He ain't balding, and it ain't showing no gray. Damn. But yeah, and of course I think, like, you know, since RE4, you know, original, Leon has just been this crack and joke kind of guy, you know. Cool. I think we can all appreciate that. He said that Leon's battles are based on RE4, but this game has a first-person perspective in addition to the third person. So what does that feel like in that? That was also a challenge for us. Of course, we've made efforts to make it possible to play from either perspective. We hope to be able to show you a gameplay video of Leon at the Capcom Showcase scheduled for January 2026. All right. So it says Capcom Showcase. So that means it's not a Resident Evil showcase. I thought it was just a Resident Evil showcase. So if it's a Capcom Showcase, if the translation is correct, there's other games we could be seeing. Okay, well, I mean, there's a couple things I'm looking forward to, but if that's the case, it seems like this is confirmed that we're gonna see more gameplay video of Leon. Leon's growth and changes in appearance. What direction are you heading for the visuals? It expresses that he has carried up until now while also being a cool guy. I was relieved to see such a comment while watching the stream. We can all have a good drink today. Oh boy. All right, Kumazawa. There are a lot of female staff members in the company who are Leon fans, so I get a lot of criticism. No, I get a lot of different opinions. I mean, if anyone's gonna critique Leon's looks or anything, it's definitely gonna be the women audience out there, brother. But let's be honest, I think even men know that that's a good looking dude. The designers did a great job. Raccoon City is his starting point. In fact, he's returning to the city for the first time since RE2. So I think one of the highlights will be seeing what Leon feels and what actions he takes. And I was saying that too, man. I was like, I wonder how he feels, especially mentally, going back into where it all started, because he's carried that with him throughout all this. Like in RE2 and RE4, Raccoon City is mentioned, and RE6 is mentioned very briefly in the very first chapter, like in the first like 2 minutes into the game. He's talking to Helena. She's like, you're one of the survivors. And he's like, yeah, I'll never forget it. Almost every time we see Leon in the game, Raccoon City is brought up to like let the players know, like, hey, this guy is still thinking about that, right? How did this collaboration with the Porsche driven by Leon came out? Very good one, very good one. That's right. Another staff member who saw the PV contacted me via chat tool and said, that car looks just like a Porsche. Is that okay in terms of rights? We were looking for a partner to collaborate with to match Leon's car, and they gladly agreed. We collaborated on a car called the Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT. It is not an actual Porsche car, but a special specification that matches the worldwide view of this work. Think of Resident Evil, all sorts of vehicles get destroyed, but what about Porsche? Please look forward to it. No, then they won't collaborate with me anymore. Okay, I think if the translation is correct, I think the interviewer was basically stating that every time there's a vehicle in Resident Evil, it gets destroyed, especially when this motherfucker's behind the wheel, right? From what it looks like is that when they were designing his car, apparently one of the staff members saw the design and basically was saying, hey, this looks like this kind of car in real life. And Hunter here says, stay tuned to see what happens to Leon's Porsche. This motherfucker's gonna crash it. Hey, look, honestly, I'll be honest, if I made a car, Leon crashed that ish, man. It's a staple at this point, brother. Crash it. I'll be all right with that. You said that Leon wouldn't be a hardcore horror film. Like I said, rough translation, but I get what he's saying. And I had always wanted to make Leon the main character, but does that mean that Grace came about later? Even without reading this, I know what he's going to say because he did say this in the creator message that basically Leon was the start protagonist when they were developing this game at first. Leon was the thought protagonist. But I get what he's saying here, and Nakanishi's gonna explain it here, sorry. That's true. Before the project was solidified, when the project started, we already decided to go with 2 main characters. Okay, so they already decided with 2. Got it. If we had made the whole thing just about Grace, it would be incredibly scary. But since we use Leon's part as a relaxation between tension and relaxation, okay, I get it. I think players will feel a sense of security thinking this is Leon's part, I can manage this. We consciously use each experience as part of the horror structure. We've structured this so that the overall feeling of satisfaction is scary but also exhilarating. Guys, I'm gonna read the rest of this and everything, but like this is literally what I was saying. And I'm not gonna say I got a lot of pushback, but I got some pushback that was saying you can still do horror with Leon. I get what they're saying, but realistically for me as a player, that's what made, to me, in my opinion, what made Resident Evil 7 so successful. We're playing as Ethan, a very unknown character. We don't even know what this motherfucker looks like. All brand new characters, villains, we don't know anything. We didn't get no familiarity literally until the end when Chris came in the mix. So that's why Resident Evil 7, in my opinion, did well when it comes to the horror aspects, because we're playing with someone new. Like I said, if we were playing as Chris or Leon or Jill in that, as a player, I would not be scared. If there's a satisfying part after a scary experience, you feel a piercing sense of exhilaration. Conversely, if you do a horror part after that, it's even scarier. I think there's a synergistic effect like that. And also when it comes to going back into that, that's what the producer and the director were saying, where Resident Evil 7 was so scary for some of the fans, they didn't even finish the game. Now, granted, that's a personal problem, but don't get me wrong, I'm a bench too, but I love getting scared and I love Resident Evil. So I'm gonna push through regardless of how scary it is. But I get it, for some of the fans it's too much, but at the same time, it's like, brother, man, why would you, I'm not gonna say why would you buy the game, but you know, I just feel like, bro, you bought a survival horror game. But apparently that was some of the feedback that they got, and now they wanted to make that a balance. Like, okay, scary enough, but also have a little bit of relaxation and everything, because that's where Leon comes in. Because I know when we play as Leon, I ain't gonna be scared no more. This translation is saying, can you actually use the logo that appears in the movies? I think this translation is basically talking about the tomahawk that we saw Leon use in the trailer. Especially for, he said it's not a throwing axe. Okay, got it. All right. Leon's just using weapons that he learned and saw from the villages, an axe, a chainsaw, where he's taking inspiration. One last thing I like to say is that Leon is in his strongest state, but in this film, I'm assuming he means game, he will be pushed to the limit more than ever before. I think the important thing is that this will be a battle that challenges his limits. Look forward to being released on Showcase in January 2026. I was happy that everyone got so excited when Leon appeared. I'm glad we included Leon. I think we'll be able to show him again at the next showcase. All right, so that was a solid interview. Like I said, rough translation, but we got the point. But yeah, guys, I wanted to go over this interview and everything because it was really insightful. Like I said, you know, dual protagonists, you know, Leon and Grace. So we're gonna be forced, in lack of a better word of putting it, we're gonna be forced to play both of them and deal with both of their combat styles, regardless on what we like more and what we like less. So it's not an A and B scenario. Like I said, I haven't heard too many people complain about it, but I've seen like a little sliver here that people would have preferred that. But it's just like, I'm totally cool with that. I totally forgot that this was the director of Resident Evil Revelations, so him doing, it's not his first time having 2 protagonists and them switching off kind of thing. So it's not the first time. So I was like, oh, so seeing that, I was like, okay, that makes perfect sense. He's going back to what he does know, you know, or what he has done before. Another question I thoroughly enjoyed was that they asked the question about the third and first person perspective, because like I said, we've seen the roundhouse kick, all that stuff like that in third person. I would love to see how that is going to look in first person, because don't get me wrong, if I saw that in first person, it would definitely look goofy, as one of my comments said as well. It would definitely look goofy. It would look weird. It's funny, so this interview didn't really go over the villain or anything at all. It was really just talking about Leon in the game and how Grace and Leon is going to intertwine here in this particular game and what they're going to do and like their play styles and everything. It didn't ask any questions about the villain or anything like that. But of course, that's something that we're gonna have to figure out as the story progresses, which I'm totally fine with, right? And just to be clear, guys, his license plate is probably one of my favorite things. I didn't know about it until someone pointed it out. That's literally the 4 games, mainline games that Leon has been in. That's so freaking awesome. 9, 6, 4, and 2. That's fire. That is a fire Easter egg, man. But if I had to put a stamp, other than these 2 that we have seen, and if I had to make a prediction on who else we're going to see, I honestly think Cherry is the other character that hasn't been shown or anything like that. But hey, maybe at this showcase, they'll show who it is that Leon has been talking to. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care.